take the praise along with the advice. So this has been amazing. It's my first year here, and I just wanted to thank everybody for having me. But I'll forewarn you, my mental cue cards are all over the place now because everything that's being said has just resonated so much with me as a person and how I'm hoping to continue myself as a leader and how I want to bring myself to work every day. Credera, we are a global consultancy, so we have management consulting and technology solutions for some of the biggest brands in the world. And I am the first Chief Experience Officer there. Lovely to be a woman. Also, I was the first woman in executive leadership at the company TA Digital that was acquired that brought me on board. Now, I'm not really a techie person. I'm not one of those folks that's going to be able to tell you where technology fits and what you can do with it. I'm the one that tells people how it's going to make their customers feel and how it's going to make people around that are using that technology feel. And so I thought maybe today I could talk to you a little bit about finding that voice and finding your space and your way and your path within the technology space and how we can help as leaders to do that, as well as how we can, as aspiring leaders, make that happen for ourselves. And so I thought maybe I would take you back to my first experience in management. I was fortunate enough to have a male ally and a really great boss, probably still the best one. Sorry to the male bosses I have today. His name was Mayhan, in case you're interested. And I was a top contributor, individual contributor within my organization. And this man saw something in me, and he sought to use his influence and his voice to bring me outside of the workplace. He actually signed me up for a local organization called Chi Atlanta, where all of us computer human geeks would get together and talk about industry. And it was through that experience that a top technology company came to know my name and invited me for a meet and greet, right? And at that time, I was really naive enough to think that that was a meet and greet, not an interview. So I'm like walking in, thinking I'm gonna see all kinds of exciting stuff about what all these big boys are doing that I was eventually going to aspire to do and be a part of. 2 hours of my life, not really any interview, so to speak, no application, no resume, no portfolio. But one of the questions that they had asked me was, have you ever seen yourself as being a manager of people? And curiosity, hands up, who's an individual contributor now? So about half of you? Yeah, well, at that time, I was perfectly happy with that. And I was like, no, I do not want to be a manager. I don't want to be responsible for the headaches I bring to my boss every day. And so please, no, that would not be my path. Left that meeting feeling great, and then I came back, to work the next day, and I got a call, and it was an offer, a really big offer, and I was a single mom, has been, always was, and so I did have to consider it, even though this man that was my boss at the time really put me in the position to be seen and be heard for something outside of my job and work, and so I kind of felt like he was cheating, like I'd have some sort of betrayal to this man. So I went to him and asked for advice. I said, hey, this is what happened. I'm sorry, I'm weeping. And he said, you know what, this is a phenomenal opportunity and you deserve it. And he used his voice again. He kind of flipped it, right? And so instead of putting me out there for myself, for everyone to see how I would shine, he began to shine, and he gave me that encouragement. He gave me that assurance. And he's like, you know what, if you go out there and it doesn't work, you're welcome back on my team anytime. And that still stands to this day, you know. I can go back and I can work with him any day. And that is kind of what we were speaking about earlier in terms of culture and what it means to feel safe, and that's what happened. So I'm still friends with this man to this day. But he told me 3 things, and I know I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna try to go fast. He told me 3 things that really kind of helped me kind of solidify what it means to have a voice. Firstly, he said, when you become a manager, take this into account, ladies. When you become a manager, not everybody's gonna like you. You know, and that stands to reason, right? Like as a person, if you're really your authentic self, whether people think you're strong, whether they think you're weak, whether they think you're boring, not everybody's gonna like you, and that's just gotta be okay. And you have to be able to accept that whenever you get into a role where you're influencing the lives of others. He also told me that it was no longer my job to be the standout rock star that was going to be putting everybody else to shame whenever it came to going up against the competition, right? And that was my safe space. That's where I felt comfortable and why I never thought I wanted to be a manager to begin with, right? And so that kind of leaned into his last little bit of advice, and he says, but Chessie, if everything you're a part of, and your team is an extension of you at this point, then you don't have to be the rock star, because you're making everyone else shine, and that should be your measure of success. And so my wrap-up advice for those of you seeking to move and to have access to those pathways of leadership, I would say, instead of thinking of a title or thinking about, I'm gonna manifest this salary, all these kinds of things, think about what really gives you purpose and what will allow you to go to work every day without, dreading that Sunday night conversation and feeling like you're not going to be able to do something about it. And let those convictions really push you through to making the connections, having the conversations, and never feel like you can't ask a question for fear of being ignorant. Because when you ask a question, you're putting yourself out there as being curious and being someone that is willing to learn, and that will have you at the top of mind for those people when those opportunities come up, that where you were interested enough and ambitious enough to go forward. And as a leader, I would say it's on us to engage our teams and to speak with empathy and understand what does give our people purpose, because the goal of a healthy team is not to have everyone fitting into a role. It's having everyone have a role that fits into the outcomes you're trying to produce. And so find people's strengths, and then find someone else who has the strength that complements their weaknesses. And not only will you then have a very organized, collective, family-like team, but you'll all be loyal to each other. And although I don't want any of my people to ever say to me, I feel like I'm cheating on you for getting a better job, it will be satisfactory to me if that ever does happen, because that lets me know that I was the one who saw that something in them that gave them the confidence to move forward. So sorry I went over. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.